I'm neo-citroned out, so I'm really dozy. I could go to sleep right now. If I fell over, I'm done. I'm gone. Yeah, Robitussin, that's it. I've been pounding that like hell.
Here he is, one half of the team, Donnie and Dhali, weekdays 10 to noon on Czech Television. It's normally a Friday Insider for us, but as we mentioned, we've got some special programming coming up over the next couple of days, including a Gino Ojic tribute show. So Rick Dhaliwal was kind enough to adjust his schedule and join us on a Wednesday.
Always a pleasure to talk to you two. Always a pleasure. 24/7, 7 days a week.
Oh, did you hear that offer? We're going to take you up on that. Yeah.
Well, unlike you, Price, at least Matt invites me to golf. So I do see Matt outside.
I see you golfing in Surrey and Richmond. The phone is never rung. Never
because we're out in the burbs. We don't all live in downtown Vancouver like you guys.
Ricky, plenty to discuss here after the Bo Horvat trade. I know you got your list there. Where are we starting today? Who were we starting with today?
We got to start with Demko because there's so much noise, so much stuff going on, and his name's popped up. Let me say this: there's so much talk that Demko wants out. Is he upset with the media, the social media, all the injuries? Who knows? It's a lot of it is right now all speculation. I can confirm as of last night and this morning, no trade request has been made by Demko. We all hear in the media stories all the time. It's our job to pin our ears to the ground and listen and stuff like that. There's been something going through the media in the past week or two, and there's maybe Thatcher's not as happy in Vancouver as he has been in the past. I all I can tell you is, guys, that he hasn't asked for a trade. If he's not happy, we haven't seen him because it's been two and a half months. The Canucks have kind of, because of the injury, they haven't really we haven't been able to talk to him or see him because he's been injured for so long. But I will say this. What player is happy right now? This team's made 3 coaching changes in 14 months. It's not exactly the most stable franchise in the NHL. And if the Canucks did indeed tell teams that Pettersson's the only untouchable, well, then you can understand why teams are calling on everybody except Pettersson. So anyways, a lot of outside noise. The only guy on this planet that knows if Demko is not happy is Demko himself. So, but there is a lot of chatter about him in the market for sure.
There's chatter about Jack Rathbone too, interestingly. Tell us about that, Rick.
Quickly on Demko, one last thing. I am hearing the teams, some teams are concerned about his injury. Matt, that could be a factor in some teams backing off. He's now looking, I think, at possible 12 weeks. I think it was supposed to be an original 6-week injuries. So we're almost looking at 3 months, which is, oh my goodness, that's been a long time without your number one goalie. Okay, Jack Rathbone, hearing there could be some interest in Rathbone ahead of the trade deadline. He's currently injured, won't be back till after the All-Star break. I get the feeling the Canucks, if the Canucks are not going to use him at the NHL level, they would be open to moving him to a team that would give him a better chance to play in the NHL. All any prospect wants, guys, is just a glimmer of hope from the team that drafted them that you're going to get an opportunity. Now, go back to Travis Green and go back to Bruce Boudreau. He never got an opportunity with Green or with Boudreau, and so you can understand why the kid might be wondering, do I have a future in Vancouver? So just monitor that for the next 4 weeks.
Major surgery was the words used by management. Bo Horvat was that first step, but it's not that alone doesn't make up major surgery. What else is major surgery here? Is Luke Schenn major surgery, or are we talking Brock Boeser here before the deadline?
Oh, sure. But look, I was told earlier this week 6 to 7 teams still poking around. Everybody wants Brock Boeser. He's been a perennial 20-goal scorer in the NHL. But the Canucks are going to have to retain some money on him to get this deal done. We are in extremely tough times. So many teams in the NHL are capped out. To take on Brock Boeser, you're going to have have to have help from the Vancouver Canucks to pick up, just like they picked up on Bo. They're going to have to pick up something on Brock to make that trade happen. A lot of teams interested. A lot of teams like Brock. He has done nothing but score since he entered the NHL. So there is interest there, but it's a tough contract to move, and the Canucks are probably going to have to retain money on that to help that along. I want to say something. I said earlier this week that Luke Schenn is a Rick Tocchet type player. The right move is getting a draft pick for Schenn, but I am certainly hearing that Tocchet loves Schenn. Sometimes coaches have a big say on what happens at the deadline as well. I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying that Luke Schenn is a Rick Tocchet type guy. Schenn's wife is expecting, and the due date is around the deadline. I knew that a while back. Canucks absolutely understand and respect that as well. So, a lot of factors when it comes to Luke Schenn, guys. Is he? Are you going to move him, or are you not going to move him? So that's going to be a big one too as well coming down the pike.
Ricky, on the Horvat trade, is it your understanding that all three pieces will be part of the Vancouver Canucks, into training camp next year? You think there's a chance anything's peddled?
No. And I'll tell you, they got the center prospect they wanted. I'm only a little bit upset they didn't get the young defenseman, because there's nothing in Abbotsford for right shot D that are young, that are up and coming. Bolivia, they like Bolivia, and the only problem with Bolivia is there's a contract coming up, and he's not far away from UFA status. Ratu obviously is the big one in this, other than the first round pick. I talked to a pro scout about him, a lot of potential, like we mentioned on the show today, great shot. He's the guy you really want to develop into a top six center. If he projects, we had a Islanders beat guy on yesterday. He still thinks he's 1 to 2 years away, so be patient. If Ratu is not on the Canucks roster, don't freak out next year. These kids they develop at their own rate, not at the rate you want or not at the rate I want. They develop at the rate they want, and some take a little bit longer, some take not much time at all. But absolutely, Bolivia is the only issue for me is it could be UFA in just over a year, so that's going to be interesting meet. But everything I'm told, they like him a lot, and he's a nice top nine winger piece.
And you've got a Tanner Pearson update, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, his agent, Joe Resnick, was in town last weekend for the Top Prospects game. He also took in a Canucks game. Tanner was there. They took a picture. You could see with the picture that his hand is taped up, which is no big deal. We knew the hand was the issue, but there is also a PICC line. A PICC line is a thin tube inserted into the vein in the upper arm that pumps antibiotics into you 2 to 3 times a day at length. And hearing he's going to have that PICC line for a while yet. Also hearing Pearson is looking at another surgery coming up, which I believe will be either his 4th or 5th surgery on the hand. This is why the NHLPA looked into it, guys. It was supposed to be a 4 to 5 week injury. It has now turned into season ending, and some feel that when you look at the picture, guys, it tells you the seriousness of this situation, and the infection on his bone that we believe did happen during the process of the injury is the reason for that PICC line. And it just gives you a little glimpse of how serious this injury is with Tanner Pearson, and why that we're looking at season over, and why we're thinking potentially, is his career over as well.
Do you think that's the reason that they were so explicit that Ilya Mikheyev was making his own decisions on this sort of thing, that he was part of the decision making? They seemed ultra defensive about the Mikheyev decision. Is this the background of why, maybe?
Yeah, no, it is not, and I'll tell you why. Because Mikheyev's agent, Dan Milstein, told me this. And Mikheyev made it very clear in the tweet, guys, that it wasn't the Canucks. It was his decision to keep playing with the ACL. That's just. It was his decision, and Milstein told me that he was on the same page. Mikheyev was on the same page. The Canucks were, their medical staff, everybody was on the same page for that situation. I understand where you're getting, Blake. We've had the Tanner Pearson situation. We've had the Mikheyev, and now we got Demko going from 6 weeks to 12 weeks. I understand there's a lot of thought
skepticism.
Process. Skepticism right now. I understand that, Blake, and I get it. That's 3 pretty lengthy injuries for the Canucks this year with Mikheyev, Pearson, and also Demko as well.
Ricky, marvelous stuff. You're a star, buddy. I appreciate you making time for us here on a Wednesday. We'll get back to regular schedule next Friday next week. Thank you, my friend.
Anytime. Have a lovely week.